Hello there, it's another lovely day, and again I'm recording on a Monday for a Tuesday, and the sun is splitting the trees and it really makes everybody smile. So today I'm going to read to you from our children's Bible, and it's another of the stories which I really enjoy, and it's called The Enormous Picnic. Now, I don't know how many of you have enjoyed picnics. Maybe not recently because some of the days have been cooler, but last spring and last summer we had some lovely days, and it was nice just to put a blanket out and sit down and share a picnic. The food may not always have been exciting, it may only have been jam sandwiches, but still nice to sit outside and enjoy the fresh air and the company. Well, here is one where Jesus was in control of an enormous picnic. The disciples were very tired after their preaching tour, but the crowds around Jesus were as big as ever. There was not even time to stop for meals. When Jesus saw their exhausted faces, he said, "We'll go off on our own for a rest." The disciples thankfully agreed, and they all clambered into Peter's boat and set off across the lake. But as they drew nearer to the land, they saw that the quiet spot that they had chosen, was thronged with people, all waiting for the first glimpse of Jesus. They had seen the boat leave and they raced around the shore, arriving ahead of them. The disciples groaned with disappointment, but Jesus looked with pity at the people. They were in such need of his loving care. All day he taught them, but when evening came, the disciples had had enough. "Send the crowds away, Master," they begged. "There are no shops here, and they'll have to hurry if they are to get to town in time to buy food." "Well, why don't you give them a meal?" Jesus asked. "And however would we do that?" Philip replied. "It would cost a small fortune to feed this number of people." "There must be at least 5,000 men, not counting their wives and families." Then Andrew spoke. "There's a lad here who has offered Jesus his lunch, but it's only 2 fish, just little ones, and 5 small bread rolls. So what good is that?" Jesus did not answer Andrew's question. "Sort the people into groups of 50, he told the disciples, then get them to sit in the grass. As the disciples bustled off to organise everyone, Jesus turned to the boy who was waiting, very shyly. "Thank you," he said with a smile as he took the packed lunch from him. When everyone was ready and waiting, Jesus held up the picnic food for all to see and thanked God for it. No one understood what happened next. They only knew that the bread and fish that Jesus handed to each disciple to give to the crowds was more than enough for them all. Even the children had to say, "I'm full." But how good that food tasted. Each of the 12 disciples was left with a basket full of food that had not been needed. "That will do for our next meal," Jesus said. How wonderful their master was. He could manage anything. Now, when we sit down to a meal, it's always a good idea to thank God for the fact that we have food on our table, but we're also very aware that sometimes people don't have, and especially just now, when it is really tricky managing to look after each other, look after ourselves, and to be able to put food on the table. And we must give thanks that there are people who donate to the food banks and who donate to friends and also receive food. And we must give thanks that they've taken time to stop and think maybe there's someone who is less fortunate than I am. And God is there for each one of us. He meets our needs and he makes sure that hopefully we don't ever go without. So I want you, whenever you do sit down to a meal, to give thanks for whatever it is and to remember that it may not be much, but it certainly will be more than some people are able to sit down to. And we should think about that. So enjoy your food, enjoy your days, and I look forward to having a chat again later on this week.